Hello, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the fourth and last webinar of the series dedicated to the Joint Call for High-Performance Computing projects. This session will be dedicated to the completeness check of your application before submission deadline that is next week on Tuesday, 15th of November at 2 p.m. My name is Ramona Kaula, and I'm coordinator of the National Competence Center in High Performance Computing, hosted at Luxinnovation. It is the national contact point for high-performance computing, high-performance data analytics, and artificial intelligence enabled by high-performance computing. Today, here with me, there is my colleague, Maximilian Prisbil, advisor for corporate RDA and innovation support at Luxinnovation, who will have a small, short presentation for you about this topic today. And we also have Dr. Christian Pouli, project manager at the Luxembourg Ministry of the Economy. And we'll have Dr. Saktivel, who will be joining us shortly. From the FNR, he's Program and Innovation Manager at the National Luxembourg National Research Fund. Sorry. They will remain available throughout the whole session to answer any questions you may have regarding the call, the submission process, and the documents and information required for you to submit and be successful. So, short reminder, the joint call HPC is structured in two phases. The first phase opened on 15th of September and is going to close the 15th of November. By mid-December, you receive the go, no-go feedback via the Research Industry Collaboration platform. The second phase for the full project proposal will start in January and end of February next year. In order to ensure that you are fully aware of everything is needed for your application to be successful, we have decided to set up these webinars where you are invited to ask your questions, and we will answer and discuss these questions during a Q&A session after the short presentation given by Max. With this in mind, don't hesitate to use the Q&A tab, so questions tab on the right side of your screen to type your questions. We are here for that, to answer them all, and to clear your doubts and make it easier for you to submit. You can use also the chat box if you have any technical issues with sound or visualization of this webinar. I also invite you to introduce yourself and use the platform to network, to connect with other people that are here. Just last point, this webinar will be recorded and made available on the Research Industry Collaboration platform together with the presentation slides. With this, I would like to hand over to Max and for the presentation he has prepared for us. Thank you, Max.
Thank you very much, Ramona, for the introduction. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our third and last Q&A session on the completeness check of the application for the Joint Call HPC. So during today's presentation, I would like to give you more information on the general submission process and on the mandatory attachments that you would need to prepare during this first phase of the HPC call. As Ramona already mentioned, and as for the last webinars, you are of course all more than welcome to ask your questions directly in the questions tab, and we will try to answer all of them in the final Q&A part of today's webinar. Just also a reminder from my side, this presentation today, so the webinar will be recorded. You will find the presentation slides and the replay directly on the platform, and there you can also have a look at the previous Q&A sessions that we organized if you have any questions about the first webinars. So on this slide, you can actually see a short overview of the steps until the submission of the project outline in phase 1. As explained during the previous webinars, it is really important to note that only private-public partnerships are eligible within this call, meaning that the mandatory consortium would need to consist of at least one Luxembourgish private company and at least one Luxembourgish public research organization. Once you have identified your project partners, your consortium would need to do the following steps before the submission deadline on the 15th of November. So first of all, you should create the project on the Research Industry Collaboration Platform, and you should also invite all your collaboration partners to the project so that at least one person from each partner can validate its participation in the project. Once all the partners have confirmed their participation, you will be able to fill in the mandatory questions of the project outline directly on the platform. And there, each partner would also need to upload all its mandatory attachments. Once you have done all of this, and once each partner has uploaded these attachments, one of you can also submit the proposal for the whole consortium. And here I would really like to emphasize that it really doesn't matter who of the consortium submits the application, as long as it is complete and submitted before the deadline on 15th of November at 2 p.m. So although this project outline of phase one is rather short to prepare, I would really invite you all to start preparing the application on the platform as of today, because the submission deadline will be in roughly a week, and it nevertheless might take you a couple of days to prepare all of the questions and the attachments as well. So for those of you who might not yet have started the application, and as a short reminder for all of the others, I will show you on the following slides how you can create an application on the platform. The first and most important step would be to register yourself on the Research Industry Collaboration platform and to create your own account. Once you have created that account, you can go directly to the website of the Joint Call HPC, where you can find further information on the call and also the official call text. But most importantly, you can here create your project application for phase one together with your partners by simply clicking on Apply on the right-hand side. And finally, once you have created your application and all the partners have validated their participation, as I said, you will be able to fill in all the mandatory questions of the project outline, and that you can do it really directly on the platform. So here you can see the general structure of the project outline with its 6 main categories, as well as 2 example questions that you would need to answer together with the consortium partners. In addition, each partner will also need to prepare some mandatory attachments, which I will explain in just a minute. So, as I said, there will be some mandatory attachments to be prepared during this first phase of the HPC call. Let's start maybe with the attachments for the research organizations. In your case, the list of mandatory attachments is quite short, as you would only need to share the link towards your ORCID ID or LinkedIn profile for the main investigators of the project. During the second phase of the call, you would then need to prepare a more complete narrative CV for the respective PIs. But for further information on the applicable guidelines of the second phase, I would also invite you to have a look at the FNR financial regulations that always apply. So for the companies, the list of mandatory attachments is actually a little bit longer. As for the research organizations, you would need to share the link towards the ORCID ID or LinkedIn profile for the main investigators of the project. But in addition, you would also need to prepare some more company-specific documents. First of all, you would need to upload a full legal organization chart of your company and the group that it might be part of. So here, to assess the size of your company, it is really important that this chart is complete and that it reflects all the linked and partner companies, as well as the ultimate beneficial owners of the group. In addition, you would also need to submit the 2020 and 21 annual accounts for both the applicant company as well as the consolidated accounts for the group that it might be part of. But here I would like to give you some more details on these annual accounts. So if your company is not part of a corporate group and can thus be considered as an autonomous company, it it's really enough to only upload the accounts of that applicant company on the platform. However, if your company is part of a corporate group, but you do not have any consolidated accounts at group level, we would highly recommend that you submit all the accounts of the linked entities. So all the entities where there's a shareholding of at least 50 or 51% or any other kind of dominant influence. And finally, as we already explained in the previous webinars, if your company or the group might have lost more than 50% of your subscribed capital plus share premiums due to accumulated losses, you would need to be considered as an undertaking in difficulty. And in that case, we would highly recommend to provide some supporting documentation to demonstrate that you are already in the process of resolving this issue. So for instance, through a recapitalization of the company, for instance. And last but not least, all the companies are also requested to submit a cash flow forecast to demonstrate their liquidity over the project duration and their ability to co-fund the project costs. So while all the startups that are younger than 3 years would need to prepare a detailed cash flow, all the other companies can also prepare a simplified one. Both templates, so the detailed and the simplified one, can also be downloaded directly in your project space on the platform. And maybe just as a short reminder, to support your assumptions that you present in the cash flow, you can of course also share additional details or even documents directly in the cash flow forecast. All information that can really back up your assumptions is always welcome. And if you need any additional information on that document, you can either ask us directly today during the Q&A part, or I would also invite you to have a look at the previous Q&A sessions where we explained these documents and the expectations in more detail. So before going over to the Q&A part of today's webinar, I would like to briefly share some final tips and tricks that you should know before the submission next week. Generally speaking, I would invite you to regularly check the FAQ section on the Research Industry Collaboration platform, because here you can find additional information and help. We are usually regularly updating the FAQ section once we receive the question from you, and there you can find the most important questions and answers. Ideally, the, let's say, next step should now be the online submission of your project outline and the mandatory attachments before the final deadline next Tuesday, so the 15th of November at 2 p.m. And as a short reminder, I already said it before, but it's really not important who of the consortium partners submits the application. The most important thing is really that you agree with all the partners that this final version is the correct one, and that someone of the consortium submits the application before the deadline. With that said, and before handing over to Ramona again for the final Q&A part, I would like to thank you all for your attention, and I wish you all the best for the final preparation.
Thank you, Max. Thank you for the details and precise information you shared with our participants today. Then we can slide now into the Q&A session. This is really the very last occasion for you to come up with questions. We have seen that there are nice proposal and preparations, and we are very happy to provide you with information pieces that are missing to, if they are needed, to clear out your doubts and make sure that your application will be positively evaluated. We'll take your questions one by one and answer them, so don't hesitate to put them in the questions tab. We have a full hour to answer them all. So let's see if there is any already there. I don't see so much activity today in our chat or in our questions tab, but I see one that just popped up. So one of our attendees is asking about the budget. So in the proposal, we submit the budget of the institute university for the 400K and the company for a budget of 700K max. Is that right? Max, yeah?
Maybe I can take that one. Yeah, thank you, Ramona. So indeed, for the research institutes, the budget will be limited, or the aid will be limited at 400,000 euros. For the companies, and I would, Christian, also let me complete if anything might be missing, but here you have even the possibility to request an aid of 700,000 euros, meaning that you could even introduce a budget above these 700,000 euros. So to summarize, the aid for the companies can be maximum 700K, while it can be maximum of 400K for the research institutes.
Yes, that's right. So for the companies, it depends on the size of the company, what kind of aid rate applies. So yeah, the total budget can be higher than the 700,000 euros.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your complete answers. Let's wait for the next question. We are here for that. So take advantage of us now for any other. Okay, how elaborated does the IPR section needs to be? So what about the intellectual property rights and what do you write down there? Who wants to take that?
Maybe I can take that one as well. So I guess the most important thing during the first phase application, so the project outline, is to give a good understanding of how you plan to manage your IP within the consortium. During the second phase of the call, you will also be requested to provide a draft collaboration agreement where you go into much more detail. So let's say in the project outline, the information should be understandable, but it does not need to be detailed in all the details.
Great. Good. Thank you for the answer. So I'm happy we have questions popping up. That's the right way to go. I'll go to the next one. Who will be reviewing the proposals? If we can give some hints about first phase review and second phase review, maybe.
So yeah, maybe I can take that one. So after phase one, this is a joint evaluation of the two funding bodies together with Luxinnovation. So the Havana Ministry of Economy and also Luxinnovation will evaluate the proposal based on the criteria that are set in the call text. And after phase two, there will be a review panel that will be in charge of the evaluation of the proposal. And then in the end, there is still the State Aid Commission of the Ministry of the Economy that also takes a final decision.
Good. I hope the answer is complete enough for our attendee. If not, please ask for more if you need it. I'll go to the next question. About the cash flow forecast, should it include the planned budget of the project proposal or be submitted without it?
Maybe I will also try to answer that one. So indeed, for the cash flow forecast, it is important that you also include the costs of this project into it. So it should be really covering not only, let's say, the project cost itself, but really the overall budget estimations and financial projections of the company, so that the funding bodies can make a detailed review about your co-financing capacity and the liquidity during the project duration. I hope that answered the question. If not, please feel free to ask again.
Thank you, Max. Then I'll go with the next question. another of our attendees is planning to use the University of Luxembourg HPC as the public research organization. And the private partner will use Meluxina supercomputer and is asking if it's fine to mix things up and what we see as preferred distribution. So if I'm understanding correctly, and try to summarize, and so you are planning to use both University of Luxembourg HPC infrastructure and Meluxina supercomputer, or just Meluxina supercomputer used by your private partner and the university as public research organization that will support you to use Meluxina, because it's not clear in your question. If you can complete this one, or if Max or Christian can already say something about that, we can.
Yeah, maybe I can say something about this. So as it is a joint research project, of course, we encourage both partners to use the same infrastructure. But if the project requires to use two HPC infrastructures, this is of course also allowed, but it should make sense. But so yeah, I'm not sure if I have understand all the details of the questions, but in principle, you can use two, but I think it's more reasonable to work together on one HPC infrastructure.
So I see that Ramona might have some technical issues, so I will maybe take the next question, or I will. No, you're back, Ramona. I will I will leave you the floor.
I had some issues indeed. I was just disconnected for a few seconds. Okay, I see.
Sorry, maybe just I can add something just to make it clear. Of course, the company can also use the university cluster, and on the other hand, the two partners could also use the Meluxina. So I'm not sure if this answers the question, but if not, maybe ask it again.
Okay, good. Thank you. I'll go with the next one. Yeah, okay. It is correct that the company must request the 700K at my guichet separately to the submission of the proposal at Luxinnovation. Is there a deadline as well, or is it the same deadline as for the submission of the stage 1, or only at stage 2? Yeah, I see a lot of confusion here where to submit when. So if you can clarify, Christian, yes, please, thank you.
Maybe I will start. So indeed, to maybe summarize everything, so there are indeed two phases of this call. We are now towards, let's say, 1 week before the final deadline of the first phase, where you would need to submit the project outline as well as your budget estimation directly on the Luxinnovation platform, so the Research Industry Collaboration.lu platform. And after this first phase submission, there will already be an evaluation, as Christian mentioned, by the Ministry of the Economy and the National Research Fund. And all the consortia that will be admitted to the second phase, they will need to prepare an additional, much more detailed aid application. This aid application, where, as you correctly mentioned, can ask an aid of up to 700,000 euros, will then need to be submitted via the MyGuichet platform to the Ministry of the Economy and via the FNR grant management system to the National Research Fund. So you really need to separate between these two phases. Now you just need to submit via the Research Industry Collaboration platform. Maybe Christian, okay. Ramona, do you want to add something?
For me, it's complete enough. Thank you, Max.
For me too.
Okay. Next question. So an attendee says, in our case, the public institution will carry out the numerical simulations. Could you allocate the HPC costs of Meluxina entirely to the company? Who wants to take that? Where should they allocate HPC costs?
Yeah, maybe I can take that. Well, that's a difficult question. So in principle, of course, the costs should be allocated there where also the costs are engaged. But as it is a joint research project, we also expect that the two partners work together on the simulations. So we don't encourage you that only one party is doing the simulations on their own, but this should be a joint task. And in that case, HPC costs can also allocated, of course, to the company. If, for instance, the public institution has the lead, but this should make sense, and it should be also be reasonable in the end. I don't know,
Okay.
Max, if you wants to add something.
Thank you. Let's go to the next question. Is the CV of the main investigator required to be a narrative CV?
No, so during the first phase, it's really just this the link towards your ORCID ID or LinkedIn profile. That would be great to have, and no narrative CV requested at that stage.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Then another question, will this and previous Q&A recordings will be available? Yes, on the research industry collaboration platform, they are already available. So on the main page, if you scroll down, you'll find all the pages dedicated to the recordings and the slides that we uploaded there. For the previous sessions are already there. As soon as we finish and end this session, we'll be uploading this session as well there together with the slides. Okay. I hope our answers were clearing your doubts. Otherwise, don't hesitate to follow up with more specific questions if there's need to go more into the details. Okay, we have another question. Can you show where I cannot find the recordings and slides on the platform? Okay, let me check if I can share my screen to do that and show you. Okay, I can do that. Yeah. Okay. Now you should be able to see my screen. Max, can you confirm that, or Christian?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay.
Yes.
Research industry collaboration platform. And here it is. The page, you scroll down and you find a section dedicated to the first call for high performance computing projects. And here you see all the pages dedicated to each of the webinars. So we have here the first with the replay and the presentation slides. Then if you go back, you'll find the second, the third one. Here again, you can find the replay and webinar presentation and co-funding capacity, webinar presentation and replay. And here, the last one, as soon as we complete this webinar, we'll find again replay and slides. I hope this helps and to find your way around this this platform. Okay. Okay, now I'll stop sharing my screen and come back to you for the next questions. Okay. Another question. Is there any way to rename an already created project validated by the partner? Max, I still want to take that.
Yeah, indeed. So in the project space, you have the option to contact Luxinnovation. And I would also recommend that you just send us a short message via the contact form, and then we can help you with this IT issue.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. We have another question. So the projects are supposed to start in July 2023. The results, if accepted, come in July 2023. If we need to hire someone working on the project, can the start date be moved to later? Or does the project need to absolutely start in July 2023? Tricky.
Yeah, maybe I can take that. No, it's not required for the project to start in July 23, so it also can start later, of course. But something which is very important is that the project should not start before or no, it can start before, but it should not start before submission of phase 2. I think that's something that is important to mention because yeah, it needs to fulfill the incentive effect of a state aid.
Okay, thank you. I hope that's clear. We have another question. So in phase 2, should the project descriptions submitted to the FNR and to Luxinnovation be very similar and cover the work packages of all partners? Yes, Max, thank you.
Maybe I can start, and Christian, you can also complement myself. So indeed, you will see that in the second phase of the HPC call, there will be one common template for all the project partners. So you will need to cover all the work packages of all the partners in that same and common template. This template will also be shared with all the consortia that have been admitted to the second phase once we communicate the results via the platform. So as Ramona mentioned in the very beginning of today's webinar, in mid of December, you will get a notification in your project space with some feedback with a go or no-go decision for the second phase. And there we will also share the link towards all these templates that you need to prepare for the second phase.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay. I could hear Max, so everything should be okay. Let me see if there are any other questions. Did you had any issues with the sound? I could hear Max because here we have.
Yeah, okay, I couldn't hear Max.
Okay.
Yeah. But maybe that's only my problem.
Okay. Other questions? Okay. We're waiting a little bit more. I'm sure there will be more questions coming up. So just a reminder, we need for this collaboration research organization that will be partnering with a private company. So the research organization needs to be eligible under the FNR eligibility criteria, and while the private company needs to be eligible under the Ministry of the Economy eligibility criteria, because sometimes we get these questions and we find that some of the organizations that would like to participate to the call, didn't think about these two main eligibility criteria check to do. So this was just a reminder while we were waiting for the next questions that I see they come. Good. So we have one question regarding should we add the quote from LuxProvide for the HPC costs? Yes, indeed. We encourage you to get in touch with LuxProvide or any other HPC system provider you have chosen to get an estimation of the costs, being their HPC resources, so quantitative resources, but also the support from the center, so the HPC center that will help you to with onboarding or with improving the codes or the performance of your software. So definitely, if you have a quote, because you have discussed your project with the HPC provider, HPC center provider, we encourage that to provide that. Of course, it's a really value added. Max, Christian, would you like to add something on this? So they are asking if they need to add the quote from LuxProvide for the HPC costs.
So if there is a quote, I think it's always recommended to add it also to the application. Of course, if there is not a quote, you should provide an estimated guess of the costs, of course. But yeah, we encourage you to provide the quote if available.
Perfect. Thank you. Other question. Would it be possible to show once more where to find the previous recordings or to post a link to that page in the chat? Yes, I think we have someone who posted the link to the research industry collaboration platform with the link to the first webinar replay. Where can we attach the quote or other documents to the application? I don't find a way to attach additional documents.
So indeed, if you want to attach additional documents, either you could upload them together with the annual accounts. There you should be able to upload several documents. If not, since it's also related directly to your financials, you can of course also add them in the cash flow forecast, maybe add an additional tab with the information from the quote.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. I see a lot. Yeah.
I think there was another question from Mr. Menchi about if there is any difference in the evaluation if they use Meluxina or HPC from the university.
Yes, indeed, I missed that. Please go ahead with answering.
Just to answer this, of course, no, there is no difference in evaluation. So you are free to use Meluxina or the university HPC. So it will not have any effect on the granting decision.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Indeed, I missed that question. But I see a lot of people who don't find our recordings. So maybe we share again the links where to find that. I can share it here. So if you type researchindustrycollaboration.lu, we'll find the first page. On the first page, scrolling down, you'll find the different links to the free question set. Well, we have our back help who popped up this message with the link. Good, thank you, Natalie. Okay, other questions? Okay, there is a question in the chat. For the phase 1, can we use our own HPC platform? Your own, what does it mean exactly? Maybe you can specify if it's university or private or public. We get, okay, let's see if the question is completed, or our own private environment. Yes, Christian?
Yeah, that's indeed a difficult question. Yeah, one aim of the call is, of course, to encourage projects that need big computational power, and of course we are not sure if your own HPC platform is in going into that direction, that it can be qualified as an HPC platform. I'm also not understanding the question from you mentioned for the phase 1. So do you mean for the whole project you would use your own HPC platform? So if that's the question, then yeah, we would need to evaluate this in more detail when we have more information on your HPC platform. But in principle, we encourage you to use the HPC platforms that are available. Okay, so yeah, so if you you can provide more information on your private environment, and then we need to check whether this can be eligible or not.
Yeah, also keeping in mind this project helps to go beyond what you have internally and what you're doing today. So yeah, that's the incentive also behind the. That's why the mission with this that we want to achieve with this call. So if this joint call application will give you the money to do exactly what you are doing today, it's not really going beyond and discovering new ways of doing things, new methods, new benefits from bigger HPC infrastructures, or to do things differently and really innovate. Okay, another question is, upon project approval, do you take care of signing the contract with HPC for the node allocations? I think it's a subcontracting contract that you are going to sign with the HPC provider, but Christian and Max can correct me.
Yeah, I think it's in the responsibility of the consortium to they are in charge of the allocation of HPC. So it's not the charge of the funding agencies to sign any contract for HPC allocation. So the consortium must take care of the HPC infrastructure that is going to be used in the project.
Thank you, Christian. Okay, I hope we answered exhaustively the questions. If not, please be more specific, and we'll be more specific with our answers. In other words, do we have to queue our jobs, or we will have 24/7 access to it? I think this depends on your agreement with the HPC center provider that you have chosen, how you will get access to the resources and when, in my understanding. It's Christian and Max can correct me if, but this is specific to the HPC center you have chosen and how they work, and the agreement, the contract you will do with that.
Yeah, exactly. And in that case, so if you have a contract with an HPC infrastructure, then that would fall under the category of subcontracting.
Okay. Complementary question. You just said that we should sign a subcontract with the HPC provider. Would it then be subcontracting money we ask for? I thought it would rather be consumables.
To be honest, I guess that concerns especially the research organizations. So if there are some doubts about including some of the costs into one category or the other, since we unfortunately don't have Dr. Saktival Suntaram with us today, I would also encourage you to send us an email after the webinar so that we can clarify it with him after the presentation. Unless, Christian, do you want to add something?
Okay. Well, in the template, we have specific costs dedicated to HPC. So like a line with HPC costs, right? So I guess you will find your way where to provide the costs, to provide information about the costs that you foresee for the HPC needs. I hope it's clear. Otherwise, please contact us for more details, and we'll find the answer you need. Okay, other questions? I see someone is typing, so I'm waiting for that to show up. Okay, other questions? I don't see any other yet.
maybe I can come back to the issues raised regarding the HPC providers and the subcontract. I think, and Max, you can also complete me there. It is important for phase one that you have a rough cost estimation of the HPC costs too, so you don't need to provide any quote here. Of course, if you have a quote, that's fine. But for phase one, it is important to know a little bit a rough estimation of the costs, and then for phase two, of course, there we require more specific information on that. But make sure that if you have an offer from an HPC provider, that you do not sign it before submission of phase two. Again, to fulfill this incentive effect of a state aid.
And thank you, Christian. Maybe I take that also as an opportunity just for another reminder about the budget itself. So indeed, as you mentioned, it's an estimation as of phase one. So you will have the possibility also to adjust it during phase two before the final submission to the Ministry of the Economy and the FNR.
Thank you, Max and Christian. Okay.
Maybe if there are no other questions, as of now, I would also take the opportunity to make another final reminder. Let's say, if you encounter any difficulties on the platform, or if you have any questions after the webinar, you can of course always contact us via the contact form as well, so that we will try to support you in any regards. And as I said before, I would also encourage you to start working on the project outline, so the digital project outline as of now, so that you have enough time to complete your application in time. Thank you.
Great. Yes, indeed. Starting the working on the industry research collaboration platform, it's key. Especially we have a week now, and everything should be submitted there. Okay, I see another questions asking for what details are needed for the IP agreement description.
Yeah, indeed. So I would say that in the first phase, the most important thing is really to get a better understanding, let's say, of how you plan to handle the IP within your consortium. Also, if there is already some existing IP at the different project partners. And it's really during the second phase where you would need to go into more detail about establishing a draft collaboration agreement with all its details. But for this first phase that will end next week, it's more about understanding what you have in terms of IP today and how you handle or plan to handle it during the project.
Thank you, Max. I hope it was exhaustive enough for our attendee. Okay. So we have still 5 minutes together. So please, if you have any other questions, this is the right moment to ask for the answer. Okay. Good. Then I don't see any other questions popping up. But if you have any other doubts or you'd like to know something specific from now until next Tuesday at 2 p.m., there are still a few days left, and you can always contact us by email. We are available, and for any other, to give you the information is missing, or to help you to finalize your submission application. So then I would conclude here, wishing you all good luck for the next steps and all the best for the submission. I hope to see your submissions here in the platform, not here, in the research and industry or research industry collaboration platform, to read what you have in planning to do for the next year with HPC. So yes, wish you again good luck, and see you soon. Have a nice day, and thank you to Max and Christian for answering all the questions and being here today with us. Thank you again. Bye-bye.